Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Thanks for being here. And thank you for pushing play on this video. I'm a little nervous about sharing this information, but it's coming through in a really strong way. And I feel like if I don't share it, I'm not being authentic to myself, and it just feels off. Like I'm keeping something in, and I just I don't want to live that way as a teacher. And so I am sharing information today that may trigger people. It may upset people. That's not my intention. My intention in delivering this information that I've been receiving from Jesus is simply to shift an awareness, to shift our lens, to maybe think about how we're viewing this planet and the information that we're receiving, just beginning to question it, beginning to think beyond what we've been given and what we've been told. And also, if it doesn't resonate, just turn the video off. I'm not here to argue. I'm not here to say this is the right way or the wrong way. I'm not here to point fingers at anybody that's doing the work that they're doing on the planet to awaken humanity. I simply want to bring this information through for the sole purpose of hopefully bringing a new perspective and bringing people closer to God. The number one reason I'm doing this right now is to hopefully bring you closer to God so that you can be closer to who you are. And so that all of the suffering, the pain, the anguish, the fear, the anxiety, the stress, the worry, the lack, whatever it is that you may be dealing with, that you start to focus on God more than anything else. And in that, you break free. In that, you start winning the game. In that, you start to remember who you are. And so that is my intention with this video. Let's get into it. I have notes so that I keep myself on track. But let me start from the beginning. So I used to channel, since 2016, I was channeling all types of higher dimensional beings and galactic beings, angels, ascended masters, everything. Hundreds of different types of energies and spirits and all of it. And I absolutely loved it. I loved connecting with these energies. I received so much from it. And it was great. It gave me a lot of information about how this matrix works. But in 2023, I started to not feel these galactic inner beings around me anymore. And not only that, but I didn't feel the call to sit with them, connect with them, gain information from them. It just almost like it got pulled from my reality. I used to sit every day and go up into the ships, and I would connect with these beings and learn all kinds of information and then pass it on to all of you. And that just went away. I remember one time I tried to sit. I was like, well, let me try to sit and go up to the ships. And it didn't feel right anymore. I wasn't choosing to not do this. It just was no longer, it just wasn't in my reality. I was like, I guess this is just not what I'm doing anymore. And as I continued to channel every once in a while in my School of Remembrance community, I just started recognizing that I just wasn't feeling super called to channel anymore. Something was just feeling a little bit different. And so that was back in 2023. In that same year, I started to get curious around Jesus. July of 2023, I was like, gosh, man, I would really love to learn from you, Jesus. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I don't want to die and not have tried to master living the way Jesus did. I don't even know where this came from, honestly. It just popped in one day and I was like, I'm going to see if he can teach me. I'm going to see if he could teach me how to live the way he lived. And so that began this very innocent starting point with Jesus. I've done a couple of videos that you can go and watch that describe a little bit more in detail my relationship and my trainings and teachings with Jesus. But that all happened in 2023. And so unbeknownst to me, unconsciously, totally not my choice in a way, the galactics started to get pulled and Jesus started to come into my life a little bit more. And he started just sharing things with me. And I started getting more interested in him, focused on him, asking him for more guidance, sitting with him, really learning how to feel him. Not learn about him in a book, not read about him. I wanted to feel him and I wanted to learn from him. And so my relationship with Jesus really started to grow. Just him and I. I was just focused on a relationship with him. I didn't go to church. I wasn't necessarily reading the Bible to learn. I wanted to learn from Jesus. And that's what I was doing. 2025, February of 2025, when I was in Kenya, Jesus showed me something that really shook me. This was the first of a couple of shakes that I got from Jesus. He showed me this veil around our planet. And he showed me almost like a net. And he showed me his body like as the net. Almost as if his whole energy was protecting, in a way, the planet. And that beyond his body was all the different galactic beings. And when I was looking out and seeing this, it wasn't like the galactic beings were dark, nefarious, bad. It was just what he was showing me was that there needs to be, he was saying, a separation right now between what is happening on the planet with the humans and the spiritual battle and these galactic beings. He also started to show me how there is a lot of infiltration with all the different galactic beings. And at first I was totally confused as to what he was speaking about. This past couple of months, I've gotten a lot more clarity on that. But he was showing me that it's not necessarily safe, that there's a lot of nefarious stuff happening, a lot of energies that are not in the best interest for humanity playing up in that astral realm. And so he was saying back then, just let them be, Lori. Don't connect with them anymore. Stay focused on the human. Stay focused on the earth plane, and what's happening, integrating God into your body. And so I said, okay. I didn't think too much about it, but I just remember it being kind of surprising. And then it made sense that I was being pulled more and more from talking about galactics, connecting with the galactics, really going into this more quantum perspective about what's happening. All of that started to get pulled, and it was really about the human experience, integrating God, sitting with God, being with God, recalibrating God back into my life. Okay, so fast forward to the last 10 months. These past 10 months, I have been intensely and intimately working with Jesus all day long. I wrote a book with Jesus called Jesus Speaks, which will be out next year. And I started learning a lot more about the spiritual battle. And that was his main focus, the spiritual battle and what he calls the God particle. And so for 10 straight months, I've been closing off from the world for the most part and focusing on learning from him and training with him, sitting with him for hours at a time, trying to learn as much as I can about what's happening on the planet. Now, this is what he shared with me in a nutshell. This has everything to do with the basis of this video, which is the questioning around galactic beings right now. He showed me that there is a spiritual battle that began 7,000 years ago when the Nephilim came in, which are these higher dimensional beings that are also hybrid, and they did two things on the planet. They erased our memory of the God particle. The God particle is a part of your human design. It's part of the physical body's design. It is an energetic particle designed to activate by God's light coming in. When it activates through God's light coming in, you begin to feel godlike. You begin to live godlike. It's very natural. It's part of the human design. It is the evolution in human consciousness. It's why we're here. When the Nephilim came in, they erased that memory. So we forgot that we have this particle and that it's naturally designed to activate. The second thing they did was they infiltrated the flowing river of light coming into our body from God. So we had this stream of light, God's consciousness, this Holy Spirit coming into our body, activating this God particle. That's the natural design. When the Nephilim came in around 7,000 years ago, they basically kind of disconnected us from that. I would call it more of like a trickle of light instead of a flowing river of light. And so we became mostly disconnected from that light, and the God particle was no longer activated because that light was not hitting it in the way that it's designed to turn it on. And so humanity began to be lost in a way. And the Nephilim, along with the Archons, created a completely alternate matrix timeline. Jesus calls this the inorganic timeline. Everything that we live in right now has been created by the Nephilim and the Archons 7,000 years ago. There were all kinds of other beings that came in and other things that happened at that time. But these are two main players, okay? And they created an inverted matrix, which is what we live in now, that keeps us separated from the holy light, God, and bringing that light back in to activate our God particle. So we walk around feeling lost, confused, searching for God, searching for answers, searching for healing. We're searching. We're looking for that which God does. God, that's God's job. That's God's role. And the reason they did this was they can control us. So long as we are not connected to our divinity, we can be controlled. Okay, so for the last 10 months, Jesus has been teaching me all about that. He also is showing me that there is a timeline split right now on the planet, the organic and the inorganic. Now, the inorganic timeline is the timeline that we have all been on for 7,000 years. It's where we depend on the external world. It's where we are searching and seeking for that which can only be found through the holy light of God. It is looking out at artificial intelligence, searching for other people to bring us God, searching for other things to deliver God to us. Anything that God is designed to naturally give us, we are looking for it out there. We are placing teachers on a pedestal, people on a pedestal, things on a pedestal, because it gives us what God is designed to give us. And part of this inverted matrix is what we see in the higher realms. Anything that pulls us from God is the inverted matrix. Anything that says, listen to me, I've got information, I can help you, I can heal you. If it's not first aligning us with God, it's the inverted matrix. The organic matrix, which is what we are being opened to or offered to step into right now, is God first, which is your divinity first. God first before a teacher, God first before this information, God first before a galactic, God first before whatever it is, all of it. God should be first. Why? Why is this the most important thing that humanity needs to understand right now? Because this is our natural state. This is evolution. Humanity is designed to live both human and godlike. That's why we have a God particle. We are designed to come back to our natural state, which is fully aligned with the pure essence and divinity of God, straight from source, not from someone else, not from a third party, not from a galactic, not from a healer, from God. That's our divine state, is that we, as these characters of human, align straight back up we click back in, we plug back in, and we bring that light back into the body, activating our natural God particle, allowing us to begin to walk more godlike. If anything is pulling us from that, that is the inorganic timeline. Okay, so with that being said, I'm starting to question almost everything in my life. Because if it's not pointing me to God, what is it doing? And I am not saying that leaning on things out there are bad. What I'm saying is if it's not first at some point delivering us to God, right? If we aren't being told God first and then here, let me show you how to do this, or here, let me help you heal this or heal. If God is not first and foremost in all of the solutions, then it is pulling us from God. And I know this is triggering or challenging or annoying or confusing perhaps, but this is what sets us free. And so there's all kinds of amazing things out in the world that are going to help us. But if those things are not also directing us back to the pure divine light of God, go there first, seek answers first from God, connect with God first, check in with God. That is how you connect back into your divinity. That's how you start to understand your divinity, your godlikeness. You've got to pull away from all of the world telling you everything else. The evolution in human consciousness, this is what Jesus was teaching. This is why he came onto the planet. He came to free us from the inverted matrix. He came to free us from the illusions that we're living in, which is everything other than you aligning back straight into your God essence, flowing back down into your body, activating this. And one of the biggest hijacks is this idea that you are God and you don't need to go to the external. That's simply not true. You have an aspect of God in you. It's called the God particle. You came from God. You're an aspect of God, but you are living in a spiritual battle, spiritual warfare. You have been infiltrated since the moment you were born onto this planet. You have been slightly veered off of your divine connection with God. You've been controlled. And the only way to bring yourself back into your divinity, your activated particle, your godlike ways is to realign with God. And the entire world is bringing us away from God. It's all designed to keep us disconnected from plugging back in, just you, your body, plugging straight back in to God. So, as I'm digesting all of this, questioning everything, coming back to God over and over again, sitting with Jesus over and over again, about a month and a half ago, somebody in my community, in the School of Remembrance community, he said, Lori, how come none of the galactics, none of the higher dimensional beings, none of the light beings, how come none of them are saying this information? How come none of them are talking about the God particle? How come none of them are pointing us back to God? And I believe he said, they tell us that we are God, but they never tell us to go back, to connect back into God, to go and plug into God, to bring God in. And they never talk about the God particle. And I'm going to tell you something in that moment, my entire reality shifted. That was a moment that I will never forget. Because no matter how much I was sitting with Jesus and sitting with God and learning about all of this, it never hit me. It never even it was never anything I even wanted to think about was, well, questioning the galactics, questioning the higher dimensional light beings. I never thought about questioning them. I never wanted to question them. Yeah, Jesus was showing me to stop channeling and all of this infiltration happening up there. And I'm going to push pause for a moment. I want to just quickly also say that in this time, these past 10 months, Jesus was showing me that in the astral realm is where we talk to spirits, it's where we talk to angels, it's where we talk to guides, it's where we talk to galactic beings, it's where you bilocate, it's when you move into different dimensional states, it's where you go when you're in the sleep state. It's where everything kind of happens with your consciousness and higher dimensional realms that are non-physical. Jesus was showing me that it's extremely infiltrated to the point where it is there is such a battle, a warfare going on there, that it is dangerous to be up there right now, he said. Do not go up there. Do not open your channel. Do not channel. Do not play in those realms. Now, take this with a grain of salt, because if you are somebody that does play in that does serve people from that place, this is not me telling you what to do or what not to do. Obviously, you're going to do what you're going to do. I'm just sharing what Jesus shared with me, and that what took place 7,000 years ago, these Nephilim and the archons that came in, they created a bloodline of humans that have been controlling the planet. They are controlling us through that realm as well. And so essentially, the only place that we're truly free is in our bodies aligning into God. That is where we are most free. And it's not easy. It's not easy to connect straight to God. It's not easy to hear God. It's not easy to listen to God. It's not easy to follow God. And if you believe that God is in you and that's all you need and you have everything you need inside of you, you're still in that inverted matrix. And that's going to trigger people, but you still are, because a battle took place on this planet, and that's why all of us have been controlled for so long. And what they did was disconnect us. We have to plug back in, and it's the hardest thing to do, is to plug back into God. The reason it is so hard is because everything in this world is designed to pull us from that. Because if we align back in with God, we can't be controlled. You are breathing in your truth. You are breathing in divinity. And if you start breathing it in, if you start physically experiencing the light of God, you will start changing from the inside out. That's how you know. A lot of who you are will start to change, and it's not easy. And a lot of us don't want to follow it. When God comes in and God activates your divinity, most of your life is going to start to change. Who you are, your ego will start to dissolve more and more. The things that you think you want will be pulled from you. The desires, the pride, the greed, all of that is going to start to be questioned. You're going to everything changes. It's not easy. That's why we don't do it. That's why we choose the external and the inorganic path, because it's easier. And it's very difficult to pull that in. It's very difficult to trust. It's very difficult to find faith and to follow. But the more that we do it, the more we break free and the more we start to see. So as I've been learning this, as I've been living this, as I've been experiencing this tangibly in a very real way, knowing this is true, I've been changing from the inside out. Everything is changing. Not because I've channeled galactic beings and I've gone off and done bilocation and astral traveling. I've done all of that for years. Never changed me. God changed me from the inside out. That's how I know this is real. That's how I know this is true. Because I have experience, because it's changed me. So when this community member asked me about the galactics and why, for all those years, they never said, Lori, go to God. They never said, Lori, here's what's actually happening on the planet. They never said, hey, by the way, you've been pulled from God. They never said, hey, there's a God particle within you. You need to realign with God. They never said the stuff that Jesus has been teaching me. They never told me the things that actually set me free. When this community member asked me that, my entire world was flipped upside down. And for 2 months, I have been in a very uncomfortable place trying to unravel this with Jesus. Because a huge part of my identity, a huge part of who I was, who I am, a huge part of my belief system was completely and is completely dismantling. And so I started sitting with Jesus and asking him about this because I couldn't understand it, but it was true. They don't tell me. They never told me what Jesus told me. They never told me about the God particle. They never told me to go to God. They always were talking about me, self, I. It was always about self purpose, self. Finding God inside of me. I am God. Like, and like how to make us feel empowered, right? That we have everything we need. And um, it's been very, very challenging to try to unravel this, because I know that the galactics and all of them, they're beautiful. They're incredible. I kept saying they can't be bad, right? They can't be bad. What is this? And so a couple of days ago, Jesus sat down with me and he said, 90% of what you've been receiving from them is true, and 10% is deception. He said, Lori, they're all part of the inverted matrix. They're all part of the game. They're all part of the show. He says, and the more that you start to get curious around this, the more that you start to question this, the more that you just start getting curious, Lori, he said, you'll see it. He was showing me that reincarnation was a loop. It was a trap. I never believed that. He started to show me how we are trapped, how we live in loops. So long as humanity is not going straight to God, humanity won't break free. And the whole purpose of us being on this planet is to break free from this trap, from the illusion, from the inverted matrix. This isn't about ascension in terms of, oh my God, even that is a trap and a loop. What Jesus has been showing me is the way is God. The way is God. It's that simple. But we live on a planet where that is almost impossible right now, because there are all these stories and all these ways and all these truths and all these beliefs and all these paths that you can take to elevate, to enlighten, to free yourself, to awaken, to heal, to ascend. There's all these paths. And they all do something for humanity, but they will always bring you right back to the starting point. It is not until humanity goes straight up to Creator and says, I'm ready. Come in, come back down. I'm ready to redo. I'm ready to, it's almost like we were taken off the racetrack and taken on a different course. And you're like, you know what? I'm ready to reroute myself and come back to my natural state. We are not living in our natural state. And because 90% of what we receive from all of these amazing beings is good, it feels right. It makes us feel heart opened. It makes us feel loving. It makes us feel this. 10% of it is distortion. 10% of it is a lie. 10% of it is infiltrated, meaning that it is not pure truth. And I'm still in the process of unraveling why, how, when. I think this is much more complex. Much more complex. Let me see what time we're at. Okay, good. Much more complex. And layered And I'm willing to courageously keep peeling it back. I'm ready to be wrong. I'm okay being wrong. But what I know is what I experience. Your experience is all you have. People can tell you all kinds of things. They can tell you truths. They can tell you what's false. They can tell you what's real, what's not real. But until you have an experience of something, you won't believe it. Until you experience the living light of God in your body, you won't believe me. I never would have believed what I'm saying right now 2 years ago because I hadn't experienced the living light of God in me. I thought I was God and had everything I needed. I didn't realize the spiritual battle we were in. I had no idea what was actually happening on the planet. And because I am experiencing it, because I am feeling the changes inside, real, tangible changes, a sense of peace and calm that I never had, a sense of being taken care of, a sense my whole lens is changing. I don't search for anything. I open to God and let God bring me. Let God guide me. Let God show me. I don't have anxiety or stress. I don't have worry. I don't have fears. So many things in my life. The list goes on and on. It's not easy because I have to go straight to God. I have to figure out what that is. I have to figure out how to hear it. I have to stop leaning on other people. Now, this isn't to say that if I have an issue with my body, I'm not going to go to a doctor or a naturopath or a health person. Or if I'm having, quite issues with friendships, I'm not going to go talk to my mom or my friends or whatever that is, right? We lean on people. But the evolution in human consciousness is that we lean on God first because we are an aspect of God. If I am an aspect of God, if God is a part of me, if I am designed to live God-like, then why am I choosing to focus on and lean on everything else first before I lean on God? Before I sit with God, before I question God? If this whole world, everything that we can think of, everything that's in the 12th dimensional grid and beyond, if all of that is part of some sort of interesting design that's been infiltrated in order to keep us in the game, playing the game, which is this illusion that we have to do all these things to ascend and to shift and to evolve, to focus on this and to focus on that, so that we don't break free from the game and no longer play in it. That's what they're going to try to do. They're going to try to keep us in that game. And everything is part of the game unless it's straight up, straight back down, straight in here. And you begin to feel something tangibly shifting. And I believe that that is why Jesus walked the planet, is to show us all of this. Is to break us free, is to let us see with new eyes what's actually happening and have the courage to question things. And so I'm sharing all of this with you, not to create some sort of debate, not to create some sort of trigger within you. I share this with you because it's a perspective that is becoming more and more real in my life. And for you to begin to question, like, well, what does bring me to God? What is God? How often throughout my day am I being guided to God? This omnipresent light that I came from. If I really do believe that I have everything I need inside of me, is my life changing? Do I viscerally Do I feel within me changes happening naturally? God is very simple, and God changes you, not you. God moves in as a living light, intelligence, and it shifts you. And everything else is part of the story. Everything else is part of the story that we are in. Entertaining, fun, lovely. I love hanging out. I'll totally hang out, sure, but it's not the way. Entertaining, curious, but it's not the way. And so pay attention when you go about the days, how often people are guiding you back to God. And I'm not talking about God in here. I'm talking about God out there, which created it all, and bringing that back into your body, which is your natural state. It's how you've been designed. And what will happen when you start doing that? And how difficult is it? Now, God itself isn't difficult. Bringing this in isn't difficult. It's difficult because your mind has been infiltrated. It's been taken over. You live in programs that convince you that's not true. You live in programs that pull you from this truth. You live in programs that distract you from this. So quickly, what can you do? Every single day, commit to sitting with yourself in silence and beginning to practice inviting this light in. I'm inviting in the holy light of God. That's simple. I'm inviting in the Holy Spirit. I'm inviting in God's light. And then talk to Jesus. Invite Jesus in. And I am not speaking about a religion. I am not speaking about protocols. I am not speaking about dogma. I am not speaking about how to see Jesus or how to not see Jesus, how to think about Jesus, what he really meant, what he didn't mean. I don't care about any of that right now. What I'm saying is simply invite him in, throw away all the stories, and let him show you this. Let him show you what I'm talking about. Let him free you. Get curious. We live in a world and in a system, in an inverted matrix that creates massive programs that we are like, well, this is true and that's not true. And if you do this, then you have to do it like this. And if you talk about Jesus, you are using the wrong word. You should be using the word Yeshua because there was no J in the Bibles, in the dictionary back then. It's like, stop. Literally stop. That is all, again, part of a program to keep you in the mind separated from God. Bring Jesus in yourself. Call him whatever you want to call him. He actually doesn't care. You can call him Charlie. Call him in and invite him to show you freedom. Invite him to break you free from this inverted matrix. Listen to him. Follow him. I promise you, you will experience things that the galactics could never give you. And that's not to say that the galactics don't have a purpose. They definitely do, but they're not inviting us to go to God, and I'm curious as to why. I'm curious as to why every single channeling that I've ever done, and I've probably done thousands, they never once said, you need to connect back into God. And if I look out at the world, what I see is loops. So here's God, and here's the human body, and then here's everything in this world that we're consuming and digesting and playing with, and it's all doing this. It's all doing this. And we're just circling. We got to wait for another solar flare. We got to wait for the aliens to come in. We've got to wait for more healing things. We got to wait for more neuroplasticities that we have to figure out. We have to wait for we got to heal more trauma. We've got to figure out our boundaries. We got everything's like this. It's just looping. If it's not one thing, it's another thing and another thing. And then you're going to this person and you're going to this person. And it's this insane circular loop. But when you start to say, let me see what happens if I just break out of all of this, if I stop all of it and I just go straight to Creator. What happens if I just push all of this away and go straight to Creator? And I pull it in and I commit to it every single day. See what happens. I hope that this video gives you a perspective that breaks you free. And I hope that God walks into your life in the most profound and powerful ways, and that your God particle begins to be activated because this light starts to come in, because you say to yourself, I'm ready. I'm tired of the loops. I'm ready. God, come in. Jesus, I'm so ready for you to show me this. Let's go. I'll sit every day. I will commit, because this is why we're on the planet, to live God-like as humans. To live God-like as humans. I love you very much. I'll see you in the next video. Mwah. Take care.